My name is Madison Clark, and at 29 years old, I had finally achieved something I thought would take a lifetime, my dream home. The one with white stone walls half covered in ivy, perched near the edge of the lake where sunset scattered gold across the water. I had worked double shifts, sold my car, and lived off noodles for months just to scrape together the down payment. It was my secret, my obsession. A promise I kept from everyone, even my own family, especially my brother. No one knew the house was mine until I had the keys in hand. At least, that was the plan. The night everything shattered, my neighbor called to warn me that strangers were inside. Heart pounding. I pulled up the security cameras on my phone. The feed flickered to life and my blood ran cold. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling. Laughter rang out. My brother's kids sprinted across the polished hardwood floors I hadn't even stepped on yet. My sister-in-law held a glass of wine like a queen of stolen land. And in the center of it all stood my brother, grinning wide, toasting as if the house belonged to him. My chest tightened. This wasn't just trespassing. It was claiming, erasing, rewriting my sacrifices as if they meant nothing. With shaking hands, I dialed the police. "This is Madison Clark," I said, forcing steel into my voice. "I own a home on Lakeshore Drive. There are intruders inside." "Do you know them?" the dispatcher asked. I stared at my brother's smug face on the screen. "Yes," I whispered. "Too well." Minutes later, red and blue lights cut through the night. I sat in my car across the street, watching officers approach the front door. Inside, I saw my sister-in-law scrambling to hide the wine. The children hushed and hurried upstairs. My brother opened the door with that smile, the same one he always used when charm was his weapon. "Evening, officers. Can I help you?" They asked for proof of residence. He faltered, pretending confusion. "This is family property. We've been here for years." My jaw clenched. That was my cue. I stepped from the car, clutching a folder thick with deeds, mortgage papers, and signed contracts. The cool air bit my skin, but my anger burned hotter. My brother's smile collapsed the instant he saw me. "This is my house," I said, voice cutting through the night. "Not yours. Mine." The officers flipped through the documents. Everything was in order. "Ma'am, you're the legal owner. Do you want them trespassed?" I met my brother's gaze. Behind his eyes, I saw a flicker of fear, but also something darker: hatred, calculation. My chest ached, but I didn't hesitate. "Yes, trespass them." And just like that, the laughter drained from the walls. The house emptied beneath the weight of truth. I should have felt victorious, but as their car pulled away, I knew it was only the beginning. Thieves don't surrender. They plot. And my brother had just lost his crown. The fallout struck before sunrise. My parents called, furious. "Madison, what did you do? Kicking your brother out? Making a scene in front of the neighbors?" I nearly laughed. What did I do? He broke into my house. He threw a party in a home he didn't buy, didn't earn, didn't even know about until last night. But reason never worked with them. To them, my brother was golden, untouchable. I was disposable. By afternoon, messages from my sister-in-law arrived in a torrent. Accusations, guilt, threats disguised as grief. "You embarrassed us. The kids cried all night. You'll regret this." I didn't bend. Not this time. I logged into my home security system, saving every clip my brother boasting with wine, the children tearing through the halls, the smug toast. "Here's to us, finally moving up in the world." Every frame was proof. Every moment another nail in the coffin of his lies. That night, I returned to the house alone. The silence inside felt almost holy. My footsteps echoed against polished wood. Fresh paint still clung to the walls, yet their presence lingered like smoke after a fire. I sank onto the staircase and replayed the clip of his toast. It wasn't just trespassing, it was pretending I didn't exist. But I did exist, and I had the keys, the deed, the walls bearing my name. For the first time in my life, I swore no one, not even family, would steal from me again. The week after that night, my brother showed up at my office. He strolled in like nothing had happened, all polished charm and that practiced smile, as if he hadn't been escorted out of my house by police just days earlier. "Madison," he said smoothly at the reception desk, "we need to talk privately." I led him into the conference room, my folder clutched tightly in my hands. He didn't bother sitting before launching into his speech. "You can't keep that place all to yourself. It's too big, too expensive. Mom and Dad think it should be a family home, somewhere we all share." I almost laughed. "Share? You mean like the way you shared it by breaking in and celebrating like you owned it?" His mask slipped then. Just slightly. His eyes darkened. "You've always been selfish. I've carried this family for years. And you." I cut him off, tossing the folder onto the table. Inside were the deeds, the mortgage papers, the police report. Carried this family with what my paychecks, my credit, my sacrifice. He flinched at the sight of the police report, the ink still fresh. His jaw tightened. "If you go public with this, it'll ruin us. Mom and Dad's reputation, mine, everyone's. You don't want that, do you?" For once, I didn't hesitate. "I want the truth. And if the truth ruins you, that's on you, not me." He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Think carefully. Madison, families don't survive wars like this." I met his gaze, unblinking. Then maybe ours isn't meant to survive. The silence between us was heavy, sharp. He shoved the papers back toward me and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. I sat alone, chest heaving, realizing more clearly than ever that this fight wasn't about walls and a roof. It was about rewriting the story they had forced on me since childhood. I wasn't the disposable daughter anymore. I wasn't background. I was the author. And this was my first real line in ink. By Friday, the lies had spread faster than wildfire. My aunt called, voice dripping with accusation. "How could you drag your brother into police business? He told us you bought that house with his money. He says you're hiding it to cheat the family." I pressed my fingers against my temple, fighting the headache. That house was bought with my savings, my overtime, my years of sacrifice. He didn't give a single dollar, and I can prove it. But proof never mattered to them. They wanted a story where he stayed golden and I stayed in shadow. That night, I pulled out my binder again and added fresh evidence screenshots of mortgage drafts, wire transfers, congratulatory emails from the loan officer. Every page was a weapon, silent but sharp. And this time, I wasn't gathering them for my family's approval. I was gathering them for the law. 2 days later, I filed for a restraining order. The officer at the desk raised his brows as he scanned my statement. "Your brother threw a party in your home before you even moved in." "Yes," I answered, steady. "And he's spreading lies to cover it up. I need this documented." Walking out of the precinct, the sunlight felt different. Not softer, not warmer, stronger. Like it was cutting through the years of fog when my family's voices had drowned out my own. That evening, another message lit my phone. This time, from my brother. 4 words. "If you don't drop this, you'll regret it." I stared at the screen, pulse quickening, but not from fear. He thought threats could silence me. He thought I'd fold the way I always had. But fear wasn't my language anymore. Truth was, and his lies were already cracking under its weight. The restraining order changed everything. For the first time, I slept through the night without imagining footsteps in the hall. The house was mine, fully mine. The silence that once felt heavy now wrapped around me like armor. But my brother didn't vanish. He shifted tactics. Suddenly, photos appeared on social media, his family cramped in their rental, captions dripping with martyrdom. Some people hoard wealth while their own blood suffers. Relatives and friends piled into the comments, praising his sacrifice, shaming my supposed greed. I saved every screenshot. Lies might spread fast, but evidence was eternal. At work, I pushed forward longer hours, promotions edging closer. Every dollar I earned reminded me this house wasn't luck. It was labor, sacrifice, proof. And slowly, the tide began to turn. Quiet apologies trickled in from cousins who once doubted me. Hesitant messages from people starting to question his story. Doubt was eating at his golden image. One evening, I stood on the back porch watching the sun scatter fire across the lake. My neighbor wandered over, hands in his pockets. "You did the right thing," he said simply. "Most people would have folded under family pressure. But you drew a line." His words lingered long after he left. Yes, that was what this house was. Not just a dream come true, but a line carved in stone. I would not be erased again. Later that night, another text came, this time from my father. "Your brother is hurting. Can you just give him a share for peace?" I set the phone down. Steady. Peace built on theft isn't peace. It's surrender. I looked around at the home I had carved from sweat and sacrifice. They could call me greedy, cold, selfish. But they could never again call my brother the owner of what was mine. The deed had my name, and so did the future. The knock came on a Saturday afternoon. It rattled the front door so hard I froze in place. When I peered through the peephole, my stomach twisted. They were all there, my parents, my brother, his wife lined up like a united front. Their faces arranged into expressions of calm that looked rehearsed. I opened the door but didn't step aside. "What do you want?" My voice was flat, steady. Mom's tone was syrupy sweet. "Madison, sweetheart, let's not make this ugly. We just want what's fair." "Fair?" I asked, the word burning my tongue. Dad cleared his throat like he was settling into a business deal. "The family has decided the house should be shared. Your brother's kids need space. You don't even have a family yet. It's selfish for you to keep it all to yourself." My brother smirked, arms folded like a victor about to sign a treaty. "Sign half over, Madison, and we'll drop everything. No lawyers, no drama." I laughed sharp, cold. "You think this is a negotiation? You broke in. You lied. You smeared my name to anyone who'd listen. And now you stand on my porch demanding a share." My sister-in-law sneered. "If you don't, no one will stand by you. You'll be alone." I gripped the doorframe, holding it like a shield. "Then alone is what I'll be. Because I'd rather live in truth by myself than drown in your lies, surrounded by family." Slowly, I lifted my phone, already recording. Their masks slipped instantly. My brother's grin cracked. Mom's face collapsed into panic. Dad's eyes darted. "This will go to court," I said evenly. "Every word, every demand, every threat." For a moment, no one spoke. The power shifted. The house was no longer their stage. It was mine. Finally, Dad muttered, "Come on." One by one, they turned away, retreating down the driveway like shadows peeling back at sunrise. When I closed the door and locked it, my hands were trembling, but not with fear, with freedom. They had stormed my walls again and left with nothing but their own reflection staring back at them. The silence inside the house no longer felt like a weight. It felt earned. I walked room by room, touching door frames, polished counters, freshly painted walls. Every surface whispered the same truth: I built this. I earned this. This belongs to me. A week later, the court papers arrived. The restraining order was extended. The footage of their ambush sealed their fate. Their threats were undeniable now, their demands documented. The judge's words cut clean. This property is solely and lawfully Madison Clark's. No loopholes, no family sharing, just clarity, written in ink. That evening, I sat on the porch watching the lake flare orange in the sunset. My phone buzzed. A message from Dad. 4 words. We won't bother you. For once, I believed him. But the victory wasn't about forcing their silence. It was about finding my own. I lit a candle in the living room and set it on the mantel. Its glow flickered across the walls, gentle but steady. For years I had been the daughter who gave too much, the sister who yielded, the one who bent until I nearly broke. Not anymore. This house wasn't just a dream come true. It was a declaration, a line no one could cross again. Neighbors still wave when I pull into the driveway. Some whisper about the scandal. Others nod with quiet respect. But none of it matters. What matters is the key I hold in my palm, solid, certain proof that no one, not even family, can steal what I fought to claim. That night, I turned off the camera feed, not because I feared intruders, but because I no longer needed to watch for them. They had tried to turn my sanctuary into their playground, but I had written them out of my story. And in the stillness of my home, I felt the one thing they could never give me: peace. Peace didn't come all at once. It arrived in pieces, in quiet mornings when I woke without dread, in evenings when the house echoed only with my own footsteps and not the imagined laughter of people trying to erase me. It came in the rhythm of workdays, in the satisfaction of promotions earned, in the pride of walking through a doorway that bore only my name. The family didn't stop entirely. My brother tried to linger on the edges, spinning stories online about his supposed sacrifice, gathering sympathy from those who didn't know the truth. His wife posted photos of their cramped rental with captions about betrayal and greed. Some relatives still sent messages, veiled guilt trips wrapped in polite concern. But those words no longer pierced me. They slid off like rain on stone. Instead, I gathered my life, brick by brick, room by room. I furnished slowly, deliberately, each piece chosen with care because it was mine. No one else's hand had shaped this home. No one else's sacrifice had paid for it. Sometimes, late at night, I'd walk through the quiet halls and place a hand on the cool stone walls, remembering the ramen dinners, the double shifts, the exhaustion that had carried me here. The house wasn't just shelter. It was proof of a promise I'd made to myself that I would not live in anyone's shadow again. In moments of reflection, I saw how deep the pattern had run. My brother had always taken, and I had always given. When we were children, if there was one toy left, it went to him. If there was one prize in school, he found a way to claim credit. And when our parents praised him, I learned to shrink. For years, that shrinking became habit, and I mistook silence for peace. But silence is not peace. Silence is surrender. The house taught me the difference. By standing firm, I finally understood what it meant to draw a line not just with family, but with myself. I had to stop believing I deserved less, stop allowing others to define my worth. The night I told the police to trespass my own brother, I thought I was protecting walls and floors. In truth, I was protecting the person I had fought to become. One evening, months after the dust had settled, I stood on the back porch again. The lake shimmered under the fading sun, just as it had the first time I dreamed of living here. My neighbor strolled by and lifted a hand in greeting. There was no gossip in his eyes, only quiet respect. And in that moment, I realized something profound. The fight hadn't just secured my home, it had rewritten my life. My brother no longer called. My parents kept their distance. The silence that once hurt now felt like freedom. I was no longer the daughter who yielded, no longer the sister who bent until breaking. I was my own foundation, as strong as the walls around me. The house stood tall on its stone base, ivy curling over the white walls, the lake catching fire at sunset. And every time I turned the key in the lock, I was reminded of what I had won. Not just a dream home, but the right to live without being stolen from, without being diminished, without being silenced. Looking back, I see now that sometimes peace doesn't come from keeping the family together at all costs. Sometimes it comes from letting go, from standing firm, from refusing to be erased. So when people ask me if it was worth it, all the nights of fighting, the court battles, the fractured ties, I don't hesitate. Yes, because this house isn't just where I live, it is who I became. And that is something no one can ever take away. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth behind closed doors. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to stand your ground against those closest to you?